Hi everyone, my name is Carlin Adams, and today I'm going to be talking about Nestlé for our final presentation for MBA 690 Strategic Management. So to give a little bit of a background of Nestlé, they were founded in 1866 in Switzerland by Henry Nestlé. They just recently had a new CEO take over who is Laurent Fiexy, and they're the world's largest food and beverage company with 2,000 different brands. They have a presence in 188 different countries with over 270,000 employees, and they saw sales of $93 billion in 2023. So to start, I wanted to talk a little bit about their mission and vision. So it's a little bit unclear what their actual mission and vision statement is. I went through a lot of their website and had a difficult time narrowing down what it could be and what they really do have, stand for and what they envision for their future. So that would be one thing I would suggest for sure. But their mission is we unlock the power of food to enhance quality of life for everyone today and for generations to come. And then their vision statement is to be a leading competitive nutrition, health, and wellness company delivering improved shareholder and societal value. I wanted to jump into the 5 forces analysis. So as you see there, I marked threat of substitution as moderate because the food and beverage industry really is so large, and there are so many different alternatives for customers to choose from. So, whether they want to go into, small businesses, support small businesses, they want to, buy food and beverages that have no preservatives, low in toxins or have high nutritional value. The options are limitless, and there are so many substitutions that consumers really can choose from. For supplier bargaining power, I marked that as moderate because Nestlé does currently have over 1,600 suppliers, and suppliers are required to meet their sourcing standards set by Nestlé. And so since Nestlé is such an ideal buyer for these companies, they do have strong negotiation power. However, some products may only be available through certain suppliers, leaving Nestlé only that choice of, partnering with that supplier. Competitive rivalry is strong because within this industry, there really is not a clear market leader. The industry is so large, and there are so many competitors who are very well established and who have, very high sales and have strong consumer attraction. So, this includes PepsiCo, Procter & Gamble, Unilever, JVS Foods. There's, tons of competitors. So that competitive rivalry really is strong. Buyer bargaining power is strong because Nestlé does utilize so many different channels of distribution and ways to get their products into the hands of consumers. So this can include retailers, agencies, distributors, wholesalers, and with such little switching costs and honestly lower prices from other competitors, it really does give the buyer quite a bit of wiggle room and some power in terms of their bargaining power. Threat of new entrants is really weak, actually, because there are such high barriers to entry when entering into this well-established market with so many companies who are well-established. As I mentioned earlier, all the competitors that Nestlé does have, these competitors have sales of hundreds of billions of dollars, making it just difficult for any company to enter into this market and try to establish themselves. I want to move into the EFE matrix. So as you see there, the number one opportunity that I have for Nestlé would be to really focus on their e-commerce sales. So only 15.8% of their sales do come from online distribution channels and e-commerce sales. So, COVID kind of led consumers to focus on online shopping, and they really prioritize that convenience and the ability to buy things from the comfort of your couch or from your home or from your laptop. So that would be one thing that I would really suggest for really any retailer or any or company within the food and beverage industry, but specifically Nestlé, since only 15.8% of their sales came from these platforms. I would also recommend or suggest that they look into the opportunity of partnering with other established organizations within the industry. So, if they're really focusing on innovation, it kind of fosters growth and helps them to meet consumer changing preferences and needs. So, really focusing on how they can partner with these other companies, maybe within the industry or outside of the industry, to kind of figure out how they can best meet the demand and the preferences of these consumers. Another opportunity for them would be to pay close attention to the health trends and the benefits that their products can offer, because again, to kind of build off of those consumer preferences, a lot of consumers recently are focusing on, the health benefits of each of of everything that they purchase and consume. And so this really does give Nestle a big opportunity to kind of look into that market and to figure out how they can best fit into those changing preferences and those nutritional trends that we're seeing. As far as threats, their number one threat really is the competition from competitors. As I mentioned in the 5 forces analysis, there are so many rivals that are all competing for the market share, and it really is a really tight market. And so focusing on innovating products that may kind of swing the market and gain consumer attraction could be a huge thing for them to kind of differentiate themselves from all those rivals. Moving into the IFE, so as you see there, Nestle is one of the largest food and beverage companies in the industry. So in 2023, they received the title of the largest food and beverage company through a market capitalization of over $307.4 billion, which represents their current value of their stock. So obviously just a massive organization. They do have strong brand recognition. Through a survey of 70,000 consumers, it was determined that out of all the global food and beverage companies, Nestle did rank the highest, with which part of this was due to the focus that they have on consumer satisfaction. So obviously helped kind of give them that title. And then I wanted to move into their weaknesses. So one of their biggest weaknesses, which is unfortunate, and they really don't have too much control over this, is inflation. So inflation has unfortunately increased their prices, which, like I said, affects every industry and every organization within the industry. But unfortunately for Nestle, they do see higher prices than a lot of their consumers. So, or a lot of their competitors, I should say. So it really doesn't necessarily attract consumers who might be in, a lower market. And so kind of focusing on how they can better this would be great, because that is a strong weakness of theirs. And then, as I'll touch on later, Nestle has had some past questionable ethics, and their behavior hasn't necessarily been positive in the eyes of consumers. So like I mentioned, I'll talk about this later, but this really is a huge weakness and something that does push consumers away. Moving into the competitive profile matrix. So this is just another tool that is used to help kind of understand a company's external environment, and through using critical success factors and then assigning a rating in comparison to the other competing companies. So as you see here, I'm comparing Nestle to Unilever and PepsiCo. So wanted to touch first on the financial profit, and I'm going to read these off so I get these numbers correct. So in 2023, Nestle saw sales of $93 billion, which is just ahead of PepsiCo, who had a total revenue of $91.471 billion in 2022, and then Unilever, which had a revenue of significantly less, actually, which is $15.65 billion. So although there isn't really much separation between PepsiCo and Nestle, the revenue points out just how large each of these companies is and how well they're sitting for financial performance. Because companies are so similar in terms of performance and revenue, it's difficult to actually assign, who has or determine what the market share is for each of these companies. But it's important, and it does give insight into consumer appreciation. So these results were taken from Morgan Intelligence, kind of stating what the market share is for each of these companies. Product variety. So Nestle currently has about 2,000 brands ranging in product offerings. So much further behind, though, is Unilever with about 30 power brands. And then although PepsiCo currently only has 23 brands, their brands offer extensive products. So that kind of increases their product portfolio. So as you see there, Nestle received a final score of 3.32, which is performing just above PepsiCo. So, however, this does suggest a strong competitive position within the industry for Nestle. As I mentioned, I was going to talk about their ethical issues, which really has put a big kind of damper in Nestle's performance. So their ethics in the past really haven't been satisfactory. So wanted to talk a little bit about one of their first things. So, excuse me. So the National Bureau of Economic Research estimates that between the years of 1960 and 2015, close to 11 million babies were killed due to the infant formula that was being sold and marketed by Nestle. So really in the early 1980s, the company took advantage of, for the most part, underprivileged mothers and families who didn't necessarily have the means to pay for more expensive formula or formula that maybe was better quality. And so Nestle aggressively, this is taken directly from the National Bureau of Economic Research, stated that aggressively they marketed infant formula to be modern, prestigious, and falsely nutritious, superior to breast milk. So they didn't properly educate consumers, and this was through their marketing efforts that they kind of led them astray and made them believe that they were purchasing formula that would be better for their babies, and ultimately ended up leading to a ton of fatalities. And obviously this pushed away a lot of consumers, rightfully so. And then a more ongoing and current issue is the child labor and poor working rights conditions. So although they claim on their website to take a stand against forced labor and poor conditions, accusations brought forth by children and other employees claim otherwise. So many children have made accusations for forced labor and a lot of just child labor and poor conditions that mostly are in cocoa plantations, with little to no pay, no training and education for how to do the job, and this caused long-term mental and physical trauma. So obviously not a great look for the company, and something that obviously they really need to look into changing. So in conclusion, just wanted to talk about a few of the recommendations that I do have for Nestle. So first would be to just focus on innovation and how they can meet their consumer preferences, such as nutrition or things that are going to add value to consumers. So they do, I don't know if I mentioned that they do have an R&D accelerator program that they introduced in 2019, which really focuses on innovation and how they can best meet their stay ahead of trends and best meet consumer preferences. So really looking into that, meeting the demand for customers. Then I would also suggest looking into how they can lower their prices, obviously, to make it more easily accessible for consumers who might not have quite as high of a spending budget. I would also recommend, as I mentioned earlier, there's really not a clear mission and vision statement by the company. So really focusing on establishing and solidifying a mission and vision statement would be a strong recommendation that I have. And then finally, as I mentioned, their ethical behavior has really pushed many consumers away and kind of left a bad taste in their mouth. So I would recommend focusing on their ethical behavior, promoting that strong ethics. So focusing on packaging and just overall marketing efforts, especially with the issues as it relates to breast milk, formula. And then really focusing on strict labor laws and standards for all areas of business, including their supply chain. So wanted to give a look at my references that I used, and then just say overall I'm really pleased with how Nestle is performing, and I'm excited to see kind of where their new CEO takes it and the growth that they have in the coming years. Thank you.